A couple of nights ago, I took my dog out to do her business around midnight. When she stopped to piddle, I looked up at the stars like I usually do at the night during her last walk of the day. There was a large blue light in the sky. I have no idea how far away it was from me, other than that it was over my head enough to see it was in the sky, not just a few feet off the ground. It appeared to be about 2 inches in diameter, if you could take a picture from my eyes and measure it. I watched it for just a few moments before it shot across the sky in a trajectory that appeared to be towards the ground, but a neighbour's tree prevented me seeing it further. When it moved, it left behind a very bright and very narrow tail in the same pale blue colour. I assumed it was a meteor, although the narrowing on the tail didn't make much sense to me. She finished up, and we went back inside. But I still had the light in my head. Something just wasn't right about it. I went down to the basement to get my pajamas, and noticed a bright blue light flicking on and off outside one of the windows. I assumed it was just the lights from our neighbour's house. They happened to have the floodlight on the driveway side of their house. It's about the quarter of the brightness of the sun, and sometimes it looks kind of blue to me. On my way to bed, I noticed that flashing from my son's room, which faces the road instead of our neighbour. I go to their door expecting to see one of them sitting on top of the entertainment centre, either playing with a nightlight or a power strip they're plugged into. But no one was there. Everyone was in bed. The light kept flashing, apparently coming from the corner where my youngest son's bed is. My heart stopped for a second. He's sitting up in bed with the light coming from behind him. There's nothing there to be making the light, and when I take a few steps into their room, I can start to make out something that vaguely looks like large bugs climbing up in front of him and into his mouth. In my mind, the only sensible thing is to go and investigate the light and whatever is crawling on him, but when I get almost close enough to pick him up, the light stops flashing, and its intensity grows brighter. I lean in closer to see the little black things are humanoid in appearance, and when I try to pull one out of his open mouth, they all stop. Every tiny little body stops in its tracks, and the heads rotate around, staring down at me with one large blue eye each. I'll never forget the look that he gave me with those glowing blue eyes, like he was just a bigger one of those things invading his body. He was drooling a thick blue liquid, like dyed syrup. I ripped one from his mouth, and it latched onto my hand, and the others started skittering off my son and up my leg. Their limbs felt like a beetle or a spider's legs climbing up my skin. I grabbed and squeezed one after another. Each one instantly turned into a fine blue dust with a single hard squeeze. I think I squashed 100 of them before the blue light faded away. I looked down at the carpet, and all the dust was gone. The blue liquid was gone. But he looked like he'd been chewing on blue marker. I gathered up both the boys and took them back to bed with me for the night. The next morning, I go to wash my blue stains off my youngest son's mouth and notice that his eyes are blue. His eyes were green before. Everyone tells me that it does happen, and eye colours change on a great rare occasion. I pulled his bed out and searched for a way in, or a light source. I pulled up the carpet in that corner, while everyone was gone. He's too young to ask about it, but I don't think he'd give me a straight answer anyway. Ever since that night, I've been catching him up on the counters, eating salt and sugar by the handfuls, like he's craving it. I even caught me eating bacon grease from the jar. I don't think this is just him being a young child, but no one else will even humour me. When I peek in at night, I can see little beams of light poking out from under his eyelashes on certain nights. The other kids don't really want anything to do with him anymore, especially since he went from being the most laid-back kid in the world to being a little hothead literally overnight. What's happened to my family? Thanks for sticking around to the end. And if you enjoyed today's story, make sure to leave a like. And if you want more like it, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a story. If you need more now, why not check out my Creepypasta playlist? I'll leave that on this card, and I'll catch you in the next story.